Hello, coaches. When you first heard that you were going to learn quantum linguistics in your NLP master practitioner training, what was the first thing that came to mind? Like, what were you thinking quantum linguistics was or is? When I first signed up for NLP master practitioner, gosh, back in, I had no idea, 2013 or 2014, I saw that quantum linguistics was on the syllabus and I was like, are we going to learn light language or are we going to communicate in a way that you can in other realities? Like, let's play multidimensional, let's play within the quantum. But no, quantum linguistics NLP style is recognizing how you communicate in this reality, what you kind of, take for granted in this reality, and therefore, how are your problems communicated? How are you experiencing your problems? There's a lot to cover in the quantum linguistics piece. It can be thought provoking, it can be confusing, but maybe that's actually by design. Maybe we need to actually scramble your mind to release the fixed point of view so that you can actually access new solutions. So it's a fascinating topic to explore. I love getting to know how other people like to do quantum linguistics because when you get this, it makes those experiences of past life regression or going into multidimensional past lives so much more fun when you get this way of raising your consciousness. So let's start at the beginning. Let's get started. So in NLP world, quantum linguistics allows you to reshape your thinking and therefore shift your reality. When you think differently, then you access different solutions. Think about it. Every single day, you have millions of different choices available to you. So based on where your headspace is at, how much sleep you've had, and in fact, daylight savings has just changed overnight for me, so I'm not sure what sleep I've had, but what you choose to eat, what you choose to enjoy, how you choose to show up, all of these little minute decisions will shift and shape your reality. It'll shift what time stream you're on. We know that you are creating each and every bubble of reality that you are experiencing. And so each one of these decisions will determine which time stream you are traveling on. Is it one that's high vibe where you're experiencing phenomenal reality of manifesting abundance, or more problems and challenges and really in the grit of it all? Quantum linguistics invites the client to expand their thinking to higher levels, to be able to raise their consciousness and access holistic solutions. Keep in mind, though, quantum linguistics is not about being grammatically correct. This is about accessing the first thing that comes to mind, accessing solutions based on thinking that you've never really thought before. So please, as we go through this, don't get caught up in the jargon of the linguistics. And if you're dyslexic and ADHD like me, you are actually going to love the linguistics here. This isn't about learning what an adverb is or an adjective and where do you put it grammatically in a sentence. This is like getting rid of all of that noise and really immersing yourself in the possibility of breaking down the barriers. For quantum linguistics to work as the coach, the master practitioner, you need to be always asking yourself, what is the question that I can ask that will cause the most positive change within someone's thinking by their having to accept the underlying presupposition inherent in the question itself? Oh my goodness, even that particular piece is quantum linguistically like, what just happened then? Let me keep going. When we think about quantum linguistics, we ask ourselves what must be true within a sentence for it to make sense. So remember when we learnt presuppositions, linguistic presuppositions in practitioner, it's about bringing that up to the surface and looking for what do we know to be true in the sentence and what can we play with that has been left out of that statement. So it's okay to make mind reads when we're doing quantum linguistics because there's an invitation to the client to access a different way of thinking. So Simon has a problem. The word has presupposes that there is a current problem. It is a problem where he's worried about, oh, sorry, I start again. Is it a problem where he is worried about the past or anxious about the future? The fact that Simon has a problem, we don't actually know what's going on for him in his mind. Are we worried about the past, or are we worried about, asking the girl out for a date? We don't know that. But because we don't know that, means that we can play, we can play with it and scramble the neural pathways so he can't actually access the problem the way that it was. So it's a little bit like saying, this is my problem, this is not my problem, not this is my problem, and not this is not my problem. You're still following? This language deliberately induces confusion and therefore shifts his thinking and gives him the ability to access new solutions. He's loosened the grip of his problem. Everybody is here, everybody is not here, not everybody is here, not everybody is not here. This dives in a little bit like the Cartesian coordinates that we learn in NLP Master Practitioner, but I'll keep going. Knowing what to listen for is the first step in practicing quantum linguistics. It requires an awareness of the presuppositions behind the speaker's choice, word choice, and the sentence structure. Being a master communicator involves listening for and responding directly to the assumptions behind the question or statement. Now, I know that that can sound waffly, but just hold on a little bit because I'm going to show you how this works visually. It's fabulous. Now, quantum linguistics are definitely for clients who are already familiar with their personal development work. Keep this in mind. They need to be familiar with NLP, or they need to just be familiar with that self-development journey. It would be best to clear away the obvious emotional limitations before introducing clients to quantum linguistics. So the client actually needs to be in a good place to allow things to shift and clear for the road ahead. So if the client's coming to you with heavy duty problems, they're not familiar with NLP, then go through the meta model, go through timeline, take them through parts integration. This is particularly for clients who have done all the things and almost anticipate the process that you're going to do. And so this one gets the client out of the way so that they're not interfering with their own success. So if you're functioning from a higher level of victimization, if a client's very much at the effect of things, then the quantum linguistics is going to be too much of a big jump for them to stretch themselves. There's going to be something deep within them that's yet to shift. So listen out for the model operators and where they're negating options and choices. So the model operators there are the shoulds and the have tos, all of the obligation-y kind of language. If a client is overthinking, I don't know what I want, or feeling hopeless, quantum linguistics is not the process for those people. Just going to put them into a bit of a loop there of the hopelessness. They may make a little bit of a shift, but they're going to be uncomfortable. As the master practitioner, you need to work on your own distorted challenges and your own limitations so that you're in the position to be able to think above your client's thoughts. This one's important. As master practitioners, I can only assume that you've done the inner work to be able to follow on about what I'm about to teach you. As I've already said, so quantum linguistics is better used for a client who's really ready to expand their energy and keen to explore more options. So they're the type of client who's going to be asking things like, what would it be like if I do this different? What choices are available to me? What if the thing I'm holding as truth no longer actually serves me? We all been in that position. I know I have in my own business where, I thought I needed to just do one-on-ones or just do, I had a list of the just do's, and it was like, actually, that may be bit of a limitation. It served me at some point, and now it's not. And so I'm asking different questions about what's possible. So we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created the problem. Thank you, Albert Einstein. In the quantum world, when a problem is created, the solution is created at the exact same time. If you're familiar with Abraham Hicks, you'll often hear her talk about, you know, which end of the stick are you on? You on the problem end of the stick or the solution end of the stick? Because in the quantum reality, both perspectives were created at the same time. Quantum linguistics, we're getting there, we're not into it yet, but quantum linguistics is similar to neurological levels. Do you remember this in Practitioner? This was created by Robert Dilts in a way that we would access a solution on a different level to what the problem would be. So if I've got a naughty dog in the house making a mess of things, that behavior, making a mess, is the problem. But if I shift it to the dog to a different level, to shifting their environment, playing outside and running amok and making a mess, the problem isn't there anymore. So this is similar. Quantum linguistics is similar, that the wherever the problem is at, what level the problem is at, the solution will be on a different level, on a different way of thinking. So instead of telling your client to do that, like with my quick example, like, having a coach say, well, just do more one-on-ones, but just charge more. It's sort of like, that's on the same level. That is not going to free up that creative juices that are ready to be put into creative content and training and group work and retreats. So the solution is not going to be on the same level. We need to be, as master practitioners, we need to be considering ways to be able to blow out the boundaries of their problems. So all of their shoulds and the have tos, and thinking things from a different point of view. So we're talking quantum. And in this quantum reality, we have space, time, matter, and this comes down to the linguistic presuppositions. What is not the problem? Who wouldn't have the problem? Where wouldn't have the problem? When wouldn't have the problem? How wouldn't have the problem? This is where we're going to, where the grammar is not correct, but the mind just starts to expand out to new possibilities and new choices. So think about it. Quantum in this space-time reality, any the question is, are you being, doing, having what you want to in space? So these are the where presuppositions. Thinking about space, like where are you in space? Is the problem, as I said earlier, the environment, inside versus outside, over here, over there? Like, where is the problem? Are you being, doing, having what you want in time? So the time presuppositions, is this working for you? The problem in time, are you giving too much of your time away? Are you giving too little of your time away? Is daylight savings time working for you? So we're looking at the time presuppositions. And then in quantum linguistics, are you being, doing, having what you want in energy? And so this is how and why presuppositions. When you're hearing a client talk about that they have to help their mum, there's this surge of energy that is not because of the have to. There's an obligation there. There's no choice. There's no freedom to just flow. So I have to help my mum. It's like, well, what happens when we bring in choice? Does the energy then allow itself to flow so you're not restricting yourself? And the matter. Are you being, doing, having what you want in matter? So this is the what. What are you doing in the space-time quantum reality that you are in? So if you find yourself in a problem, your nervous system has created a boundary around you. Think about it. The last time you were in a problem, whether you had all the bills to pay or couldn't manifest in clients or something going on, all you can see is the problem, all you feel is the problem, and all you sense is the problem. And unless you're very sophisticated at being able to do perceptual positions and change the way that you look at things, your thinking that created the problem is going to keep you in that problem. You need somebody else to come outside of you to access the solution. And that's exactly what a skilled coach can use with quantum linguistics, is to get you to is to get you to consider something out of your problem. So while you're associated, they can help you break through the boundaries that your nervous system has created so that you can actually access that solution. So for me, I created all my happy slides. This is what it looks like for me, that the client is completely stuck in the problem. And the when we think about quantum linguistics, the possible solutions could be changing their frame of time, could be changing the frame of what they are doing. It could be changing the way that they that they see themselves in this problem. The solution is out there, but they are stuck in that bubble of problem. So how is a problem actually created? When we backtrack and you think about everybody's need in this world is to know that they belong, that they matter, their security, food, all of those things. When you were little and you perceived a threat to your safety or your belonging, your mind is automatically going to put a meaning to that event. Dad's yelling, mum's looking angry, I feel scared. And so the beliefs get created. This happened, and the mind puts a meaning to it. And that is now the belief that I am not safe, or it is my fault, or I'm not enough. There's a belief now that is being created here. And so with this, we now know that there's a boundary within the nervous system that is being created. So from that experience and from the meaning that we've put to it, it's fascinating to realize that the mind has now put a representation to it. There's now an internal representation, like a strategy. I hear a specific tone, I see someone get angry, I feel scared. And this is now the strategy that has been created. This is now the internal representation, the hearing, the hearing, seeing, feeling. That strategy now is now the nervous system's boundary of how it does a problem. And this internal representation carries out throughout into our adulthood. The nervous system has created that problem, which comprises linguistic structures, pictures, sounds, smells, feelings. So I hear a specific tone, like I hear someone get loud, I see someone get angry, and I feel scared. This is now the loop that's been created. From that childhood experience, it could have been something different. It could have been I smell the alcohol on dad's breath. I heard mum yelling. I now feel powerless. So the strategy is going to be different for everybody's different problems. So this one here is the OAK. That we, as coaches, we can know that. We can elicit their strategy on how they do their problem, how they're noticing that in their adult life with friends and relationships and at work, and why they're constantly being triggered, why they're constantly feeling the aches and the pains in their bodies because of this trigger. But with quantum linguistics, what we need to do is to be able to undo the way that they've created that problem. So, with all of that, the significant event happens, a boundary gets created around the nervous system holding onto the problem, and the nervous system will hold on to the existence of that problem and will continue to trigger and activate as that internal representation is stored. And isn't it fascinating that if this is in your energy field, you'll actually magnetically attract in more scenarios like this until you release the grip of this problem. So, how do we create a solution using NLP? So, the coach will facilitate the session and will naturally get the client to associate into the problem. How do you do the problem? How do you know it's time to do the problem? How does the problem show up in your world? What do you want instead? And so the neural network is activated, and the client will start to experience that restriction of energy as if the problem's happening now. The coach's job is to use things like the meta model and quantum linguistics to be able to offer different ideas, different possibilities, and the client can start to try on those different perspectives to be able to start to challenge the way that the problem has been stored. So the coach asks the thought-provoking questions to challenge the sequence of the internal representation. And now new possibilities are starting to be explored. So the client's model of the world starts to loosen. It's like, oh, okay, new possibilities. And while the client can facilitate processes such as timeline or belief change, it's up to the client to actually collapse the walls of the problem. So they'll start to collapse the boundary of the nervous system. And it's fascinating how quickly it works by trying on a different perspective, shifting the internal representation. Now the coach now starts to future pace and builds in that strategy for success. And as we know as NLP people, you can ask in the future when you future pace, if you find yourself in a situation where previously that way would have been a problem for you, how do you respond instead? And the client can start to, oh, well, just because I'm hearing a loud voice doesn't mean it's dad, doesn't mean I'm 3 years old, doesn't mean I'm now trapped. There's now possibilities and choices to speak my truth, to leave that scenario, to walk away, to recognize it's just on TV. It's all like there's no problem here. So new neural pathways have now been created to access different possibilities. And then we do the happy dance. That there's a new result has and the shift has happened. So bringing our attention back to quantum linguistics, it is about listening to the way they state the problem and using linguistics so that you can presuppose a new solution. So this is where the quantum comes in. And I know I've already gone over this, but space-time energy, this is how we encode our experiences. Do you remember the presuppositions that we learnt in NLP practitioner? There was the presupposition of existence. There was the presupposition of time and ordinal, what sequence things happen in. There was a presupposition of possibility and necessity, cause and effect, awareness, adverb and adjective. These all presuppose the energy that's involved, the how and the why. And the last one there, the presuppositions of existence and complex equivalence. These all involve the presuppositions that are around the matter, like the what. So this is one of my slides from the practitioner course. So while we do have the 10 linguistic presuppositions, quantum linguistics takes it one step further and even scrambles the masters in training to see these in a different light. So just showing you three here, the cause and effect. Remember cause and effect? This happened, so it equals this. She makes me so angry. Well, in quantum linguistic style, we can shift that to say, well, or shift that and ask a different question. So, what is it that she does that causes you to be angry with yourself? And how can you not do it now? So, it's really shifting and bending their perception, putting the cause back on them, shifting the time, shifting the matter. The next one here is the complex equivalent example. The client can say, I'm not good enough. He never tells me I've done a good job. And the coach's response can be something like, how many good jobs will you have to do in order for him to know or to tell you that you're good enough? So again, putting the responsibility back on the client, getting them to recognize what is actually the problem versus what they think is the problem. It's statements like this that does take practice to really challenge the way that they're presupposing their problem. And then the last one for today, the awareness. He frustrates me so much, says the client. And then the question is, well, when does he not frustrate you? Now, I mean, if I heard that from a coach in the first time, it'd be like, hold on, I'm here for you to help me solve this problem that he frustrates me. And by getting them to step outside of the boundary of their problem, or when does he not frustrate you, we now loosen the model of the world. We're now looking that there's all of these other scenarios where I'm okay with him, but actually the problem is this one little thing that happens and not this big problem that is expanding out. So we can use the quantum linguistics through all of the linguistic presuppositions. It's about recognizing how the client is narrowing in on their problem and what you can do linguistically to scramble the way that they perceive time, the way that they perceive matter, the way they perceive how they're doing it, and to be able to offer that client a way to be able to break through the boundaries of their problem in a new light. So linguistics. There's a lot more to it in the training, but hopefully this gives you a bit of awareness in understanding that if this is how we're doing and creating a reality here with these problems, imagine how easy the solutions are when you start to get this and you start to go on that spiritual journey where you start to expand and open up to your soul's purpose. This is where you're like, wow, okay, like your soul is here for a completely different experience than what you originally thought. So I'm Claire Chancellor from Be Your Purpose Coaching and Training. I hope that helps in some way better understand quantum linguistics, and I will talk to you later. Bye, guys.